Welcome back to the Empty the Quiver podcast, your front row seats for everything Utah Archers. From game recaps to standout performances, we'll be your guide to all things orange and blue. Let's let it fly. Welcome back to another episode. I'm Jackson and that's JB, and we're joined with a very special guest today, Coach Chris Bates of the Utah Archers. Thanks for being with us today, Coach.
Excited to spend some time with you guys.
Our fearless leader. All right.
There we go. Let's go.
Well, full transparency, this is being recorded the Thursday after the draft, so I know, Coach may have, some stuff in his eyes still, trying to recover from that. So we really appreciate you taking some time to be with us today. Let's get into it. Obviously, the number one overall pick, there were talks about that being traded, obviously because of who kind of the other one could have been, with Joe Spallina being the GM of the Redwoods and his son Joey being available in the draft. I know on social media you said it was really down to him and McGuire. When did you kind of make that decision, and how many times did he just come up to you and be like, hey, like, what do we have to do to get him?
Yeah, I mean, he made it clear that there was an interest, and I get it, right? Like, Joey's a really good lacrosse player. There was some persistent efforts on his part, and there were also efforts on other folks' part to jump up and grab McGuire as well. So for us, the process starts. It started in the locker room after the last game of the season when we knew we had the number one pick, and you're starting to talk about who it might be. So even throughout the fall, it felt like it was going to net down to two guys really in some regard. But then you do your due diligence and think about who else might be out there, what your team needs are. Free agency could have impacted it. Like, we chased a couple guys that we didn't get. So at the end of the day, we just went with our gut. And, my gut said McGuire for a little while, but, you also want to evaluate and see guys play their senior season and put their best foot forward and just think through, what you feel like is the best long-term, value that you're going to get for that pick. So we kept coming back to that, like, what's the best value here? And there's differing views on what the best value is for a short stick team midi when a team has. I get all that. Like, we wear all that debate. Like, we're happy to have it. But we netted out where we netted out, and I think the Utah Archers fans are going to be thrilled to see Aiden McGuire suit up and play. Like, the dude plays, man. Like, he's going to be fun to watch. He's going to bring energy. So from that standpoint, I just think he will be somebody that our locker room is going to appreciate, and then the league is going to sort of be on notice to some degree that this is a real deal player, and I think our fans are going to love him.
Yeah, go ahead, JB.
How much off the field stuff do you look into on these guys? Like, how he does what he does on the field, but as a person, locker room guy, like, how do you find all that out?
Well, so we try. We know the Duke coaches well. They're friends and guys we trust. Aiden was at the USA tryouts, so you make an impression. Anytime you're on, walking planet Earth, you're making an impression. And we keep our ear down. Like, Pike played with him down there. Like, hey, what'd you think? Hey, really good kid. He can play. Like, okay. And then just through conversations, the last conversation I had with him, literally on the ride up, like, just talking about his family background. I just wanted to hear a little bit more about. He's got 4 brothers and sisters, competition and putting, a good day's work in and bringing your lunch pail and all that stuff. I'm like, this, where are you from? What's your hometown like? Like, I just, you want to get a feel for the full picture. And we do that with all our guys, right? All the guys you're thinking about, if you're serious, I think we've done a really good job of making sure we preserve what it stands for to be a Utah Archer. And that starts with Tom and Ryan and our vets, but that, there's perpetuity to that. You want that to continue. So it's a good question, and we feel like, we want to make sure that somebody's going to play and help us, but also that they're going to represent and be the kind of teammate, that's going to be, a great fit for us.
Yeah, I mean, the guys are super easy to root for. They all seem like, really, really great dudes. I mean, they stay and sign. I mean, even after going 0-2 last year, I mean, Brett Dobson was out there for an hour after that game. I mean, it's just really easy to root for those guys. So your staff in the league, you, Coach Cav, and Coach Resch, and PK to some extent, you've all been together pretty much since the inception of the league. I think probably the only coaching staff in the league without any turnover. How much do you lean on those guys through this draft process?
Implicitly, 100%. Like it's got to fit. I trust. Everybody's got their own voice. We're all kind of wired similar in some ways. I think we're smart to listen. I think we're smart to challenge each other in terms of thought process. And I'm the first one to say, like, nobody wants yes men. Like push back. Like if I'm down a rabbit hole, pull me out. And Tony is as good as it gets, just in terms of having that sort of 10,000 view, or allowing for dialogue, but then having a strong sentiment around. All right, here's what I think. Like here's where we're, and he's got such great experience and a good feel for things. And Cav is just somebody that, he's a little cross rat like I am, right? Like I'm texting him on a Saturday night at midnight watching the Saskatchewan rush, whatever it is. It's like we see things very similarly, and he's got a great pulse for a team dynamic, a locker room, but also how a player might fit. So I'm smart to listen to those guys, and it's a good group.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so in the past, we've never been shy about going and getting our guy. Talk to us about kind of what led you to Steins at the number 9 pick there.
Yeah, I've watched every goal of his, every assist of his for this season. I have a lot of respect for his coach. So, knowing his IQ, knowing the competitive level of that program. It's an ASUN program, so the conference is good, but it's not the ACC or the Big Ten. But, those guys are out playing the big boys too. So, the kid showed in big games and can play at the highest level. And if we went McGuire at 1, at 9, we needed to find a dude. Probably a right-handed dude. Probably a guy that could give us some interchangeability, but given Fieldsy, given Mac and Dyson and Ryan and Bryce Ford's more lefty than righty, we just felt like that's where we needed to go. And he's the best guy on the board. There were other guys. Joey's a really good righty. Silas is a really good righty. Evan Plunkett's a really good righty. If those guys drop, maybe we may have a different decision to make. But like Ryan, for us, was a clear guy. Like if you look at our board, like we felt like going in, like that might be the guy we were going to get. And I think he's got a lot of upside in terms of his commitment to being a professional player. He's 6 foot whatever. He's got 2 hands. He's mobile. He's skilled. Like you surround him with more really good players. I think he hadn't seen a short stick in a decade. Yeah. So again, quality of short sticks are really good in this league, but this dude can shake a little bit. He's got good size. He's got good skills. So yeah, we think he's got a ton to offer.
You say you're bored. This will probably be a quick answer. How much, if any at all, do you look at any board that isn't yours? Do you look at social media? Do you look at the experts and what they claim?
Well, let's hold on. You're calling them the experts, so I have to. I'm just pushing back a little bit.
I love that.
Respectfully, yeah, we look. I look at social media. I look at anything and everything. I hear it, but we just trust ourselves, and that I think is a strength. Like, at the very end, Zach Carey, I love him. He covers us every week. He's like, I can see Silas Richmond going 1, and I'm looking at the highlights, and I'm like, damn, I'd love to have that kid. Like, yeah, like I'd love to coach Silas Richmond. And I watch that, and Kark's board is different than Birdie's board, is different than everything. So there's so much discrepancy. The experts don't know anything. Like they do and they don't. But it's the eye of the beholder. Like we also got to figure out what we need and what fits us.
None of those boards had Mason in the first round. None of those boards had Steins going first in the second round. So it makes sense.
Yep. And then lastly, let's just talk about the pick at 17. Obviously, you did your due diligence there. There were initially, for maybe a couple hours, there were concerns that Schaller may get a waiver and return to Maryland. You shut those down pretty quickly. How great do you feel about getting him at 17?
I'm salivating, man. Like, that dude's a monster. Like, I just, he represents everything we want our organization to be around. Like, he's tough, he's disciplined, well coached. It's hard to not have a pick there that's going to come to camp and play and contribute. But we just felt like there was too much value. Like, we're like, I didn't think he'd last that long. I thought somebody else would kind of go, you know what, this is worth it. And I did hear a groan when we picked him. I heard a groan from somebody else. I don't know who it was, but I'm like, as soon as I made that pick, I'm like, yep, like this is somebody that's going to be a cornerstone. However long that dude wants to play pro lacrosse, I think, he's just got that ability and hopefully the desire to be great. He's got rehab, for a year, but I think being patient and the value at that pick, he's a top 5 player. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
What have you been a candidate at 1? Fully
we
healthy?
looked at it. When we broke down, we'll do, so pick 1, 9, 17, 25. If you take McGuire, here's what you're looking at 9. Here's what you're looking at. So he was one of the 3 guys that we had as if we go there, like we thought he was that good.
Yeah.
So to get him at 17, we'll be patient, but we're thrilled.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be thrilled. He's another one that if I'm a Utah Archers fan, I'm like, let me go back and look at some highlights and see what we're going to get in the year because we're preaching some patience, which isn't always easy, but like you'll see it. Like watch this dude play lacrosse and realize like he's a bad mama. He can play.
We have some Maryland Terrapin fan friends, and they wanted him on their pro teams badly, so we get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the potential to have Lavelle, Schaller, Woodward, Core, for 5-10 years down the road. I mean, you definitely could not have passed that up at 17.
No, and you talk about and I hear it like you think about the Water Dogs and that whole narrative around CJ and Michael and Silas playing together. I'm like, yeah, that's impressive. And then I'm like, all right, I like our defense. I like that defense.
Yeah.
You just like I like that. Okay, like. Respectfully, like we'll take that for sure, and then put on top of that the shorties. Like,
Yeah.
all right, let's go.
And Dobson.
Yeah. Now I know we got to score goals, and we're getting to that, but
Right.
I got you.
Right. So, all right. Well, let's kind of move away from the draft and towards next season. Like we mentioned, or you mentioned, after the McGuire pick, you're saying, hey, Piper, Bo, Connor, get your pick and roll ready, get your shooting ready. What is the kind of the evolution of our game plan going to be with kind of running 4 short sticks on our game day roster?
Yeah, I just think it's going to allow their game to develop between the lines and frankly on the offensive end a little bit. I mean, look at the Champ Series. And look at some of the plays Bo has made. Like, Bo was an offensive midi. I recruited Bo to Princeton as an offensive midi. Like, that dude can play. Like, he's a tough stop. So, if you can get, in this day and age, everybody talks about two-way middies. Well, there's no true offensive middies that want to play defense. They don't exist. There are D middies that want to play offense, and there are D middies that can play offense. So the two-way D midi starts on defense for me, and I think those guys do. Again, watching Champ Series, watching Aiden play for Duke, like watching teams, these guys get up and out. Connor's probably the least offensive-minded, but he's smart enough to get out of the way and set picks. And, so I think in a short shot clock when you're playing offense for 30 seconds, you can take advantage of guys that can set picks and flash and catch and pass and bang the ball in the back of the net. So I think we can trap guys hopefully on offense a little bit more. We can run and play faster. We've got to be creative to be able to score more goals. So last year we struggled, and I think we'll probably get to that in a little bit. So we just feel like a little bit of a reset. We weren't going to add somebody. I didn't think anybody in the draft, and it's no disrespect to anybody because there's a lot of really talented offensive guys. Putting one piece into that equation was not going to make our overall offensive production jump that much more. We just didn't see that. Making this decision and being more creative about how we play offense, I think will. I think it's making us commit to this idea of interchangeability a little bit so that, Sam King, you alluded to earlier, Sam King had a dynamic first year and can take a number one matchup. Like, he didn't back down from guys.
Yeah.
But to do that game in, game out for 60 minutes is a lot to ask somebody. So if we have the ability to bring Sam King from the box on X amount of possessions a game and run him with whoever, like, all right, like, okay, you just dodged or you just created with Trey, but now you got Sam to deal with. Like, so I think we can mix and match. We've talked to Dyson and Fieldsy, not as much Fieldsy, but Mac, Grant playing attack. Those guys, those other two I just mentioned, coming from the box. You can sub. You can think of the indoor mentality a little bit, where you can sub by quarter. Your lefties are typically on one side of the field, and the box is like, we can get those guys off.
Yeah.
And at short stick, we have two lefties and two righties. So I just feel like we can have some fun, and I think it's going to recharge us to play a little bit differently.
And it's a domino effect, right? Like you mentioned, a lot of offensive midfielders don't want to play defense. But if your defensive midfielder is now playing offense, they don't have time to get off the field. You're forcing them to an uncomfortable situation.
Either it's an uneven because they got off the field, or it's like, I got to handle my business. And our guys do a good job when we're forced to get back and play defense. When Grant or Tom or Ryan or we just tell guys, knuckle down, man, and play. Like, they don't want to be there, And if you're there consistently, it's draining your tank a little bit because you're like, oh gosh, I got to fight through picks. Oh gosh, this guy's dodging me. I got to slide and recover. I got to, if we commit to that, the hope is that we can really just be uncomfortable to play, and that's our hope.
Yeah, I want to bring up two things you just said. Kind of talking about the box game, I noticed that Chaos was doing that. Really, I first noticed it in Utah, where they would run hilts in and out of the box based on which side of the field the box was on. Is that kind of where you're drawing a little inspiration from that? And
not from the chaos. I'm not admitting to taking any inspiration.
No, little brother gives us.
It's a box thing, right? I mean, if you follow NLL stuff or any indoor play, like it's a natural thing for those guys, where the box side guy is just the quickest and easiest to get off. Similar to that, yes. But
Sure.
So by quarter, our righties are more apt to get off in one quarter. The lefties are more apt to get off quickly in another quarter.
Yeah. Well, and then also you talked about Trey. I mean, at one point when Trey was a little younger in the league, I mean, he was playing a little bit of D-mid. I mean, do you see him kind of falling into that group a little bit, or you want him to run out of the box?
Only if he has to. There's a world. Even when we were talking about the draft, Nick Myers at Ohio State, talked about him being a really good D-mid and him being their best wing guy. So. We have to address the face-off thing and bump our percentage there, and so somebody like Trey can play in the wings of face-offs at times, and we can account for that. But no, like he's taken the next step. We feel like this year offensively indoor for the Seals, so we feel like his game's going to continue to develop for us, which we're excited about.
It's a good segue there.
People forget he was a second-team All-Pro 2 years ago. I mean, he shot the hell out of the ball, and is really good at it. So yeah, I don't blame you at all for not wanting to, like you said, kind of drain his tank, wasting time on defense.
With wing play and face-off percentage, obviously you know us. We're good friends with your face-off guy, and looking back at his rookie year, seeing Jared Connors and Latrell Harris as the wings and how dominant that face-off unit was. And then obviously you lose both of those guys. What's the strategy to improve? Is that offensive coaching? Is it defensive coaching? Is it specifically just specialist coaching? How do we ensure that the wings seem as locked in as some of these other teams where they really focus on that?
Excuse me. Starts at the X. So Sis knows that Sis needs to be back to Sis for us to feel good. We need 50 whatever percent, and it's not a percentage based thing, so I don't want to focus too much on that. But the other reason Aiden McGuire's of value is because he's really good in the wings. What whether Mason bumps up there or not, Mason's good on the wings too. Wires is decent. We're looking for that next. Is Mitchell Dunham, who's really good on the ground, an option? Maybe Tommy Stahl is coming to camp this week. He's a Richmond guy who played on the wing. So yes, open-ended question. Is it coaching? Yeah, but it's the Jimmies and the Joes to a certain degree. I think we coach them up, and I think it starts at the X in terms of what our strategy is there and what we're, are we tying them up? Are we winning cleanly? Are we losing cleanly? Where do you place your wings? There's a little bit of a niche science to what that looks like. Cavs really good at it. If you lose, how you sub, that's under the microscope for us. So all of this is, these are things that we've just got to sharpen our pencil and be better. It's a percentage game, man. One or two of those a game and one or two goals and another stop is the difference between winning and losing. So, all that stuff are, those are all things that, for us, we've got to make sure that we're really, paying attention to, valuing, and, executing to the best of our ability.
Yeah. That's a good segue to talking about this upcoming season. Obviously not our best season, but we're the two-time defending champions with the target on our back every single week. We had a ton of injuries. I don't know if you listened to our other episode, but we missed 29 games from our projected best 19-man roster last year. I mean, Matt Moore and Trey never played together. So obviously that was a huge part of it, but I mean, what's your message to the guys to say, hey, it's a brand new season. There's a new trophy waiting at the end of this for us. Kind of what's your message to those guys that didn't have the best seasons offensively, to just say, hey, let's go play free. We have nothing to lose.
For us, the message is pretty simple. We believe in ourselves. We just do. We believe in this roster. We believe in our offensive personnel. On one end, and on the other end, it's we've now got to prove it. We've now got to be in a position where the output is good. So there were guys that had subpar career years, right, relative to what they had done in the past. For us, like I said, I think it's, you add new pieces, you add new, energy. The messaging remains, I think, consistent. I think whereas last year, when you come off a win in two, you feel pretty good, and you expect some ups and downs, but because you've done it for 2 years, you feel like, all right, we're gonna remedy this, we're gonna fix this, we're gonna be where we've been, but by and large we weren't. So there's got to be this hunger and this underdog mentality, the prove it mentality that we're not going to be as patient, right? We can't be. We have to be urgent in terms of how we're preparing and what we're expecting of guys. But we also have to have the long view. We're not going to, make unnecessary changes so it's a fascinating year, frankly, and it's funky for us starting off in Utah with 2 games in our hometown where we love to play with a compromised roster. It's going to be funky. Those games are important, so we weren't going to draft for those 2 games. I think you alluded to it earlier. We weren't going to draft. We're going to leave Will Schaller on the board to get a defenseman that you're I don't know, maybe this guy can play. That just wasn't going to be, that wasn't going to make sense for us. So, so my point there is just having a longer view of all right, we got Utah, then we have a bye, then we have, a couple games, we have another bye. We feel like if we stay healthy and we play well, we're as good a team as anybody in the league.
And the season's a little bit longer this year, right? So, yes, it is important to come out strong in Utah and try to get some wins on the board. But last year's 10-game season, you lose 2 games, it's a much larger impact. That's 20%, right? So, hopefully that's the case now. It is unfortunate that our doubleheader, the homecoming, is while we're still overlapping. But those teams could lose. We could have those guys back. We're not going to root against our friends, but,
No, it's it sounds cliche. It is what it is. We can't change it. We can bitch and moan about it and blah blah blah. But okay, let's just go do we'll play us against the world. We'll play the underdog card, and again, nobody owes us anybody. Nobody's giving us a win, so we got to go out and earn what we get. So that's how we're approaching it.
One other thing you had mentioned, I believe it was draft night, about still having a first pick technically with the waivers and the combine that takes place. Is that really taking place after you play 3 games or 2 games? Then you have that combine in mid-May, and then you get to get the first choice of who you want out of that group of guys?
Yeah, it's an interesting. So whereas in previous years, today was the day where you'd get your self-organized, you'd know the waiver order, and 33 and beyond, you'd grab if you had roster spots and training camp
Right.
room. Now you'll have a training. You'll have this next training camp upcoming, and then you can evaluate. You can continue to evaluate the college guys that are still playing, and then after May 27th, we get this opportunity to pick up guys. So we'll know what our roster looks like. If they're still NLL. I don't even know the play. Like, they don't release any of the playoff stuff, which drives us nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts. Like, so we have this next 5 weeks to keep looking at our team needs and keep evaluating college guys. And then I texted a dude. We tried to make a trade, or thought about making a trade in the 4th round. We were going to give up we were going to give up our next year's 4th rounder for somebody's 4th rounder, because there was a dude we wanted to pick up, thinking he could fill one of those niche holes that we all could predict. And then somebody said no, somebody else said maybe, and then we looked at it and we're like, this guy we like ain't going to get picked. Like, these other 2 teams have picked guys. So at the end of the day, like, I texted that kid, I'm like, hang in, man. Like, there's still hope. You may be the 33rd guy, and we love you. Or now he may not be great the rest of the college season. Our needs may change, but it was sort of a reach out to a dude to say, hey, we thought about moving up in the draft to get you. I wanted to compliment him and also let him know, like, hey, like, a month from now you still may be with us.
Trading 4th-round picks. I know we're not paid actors, but I'll just take 30 seconds, a little lighthearted. I'm going to play the role of the 2024 Utah Archer superfan. Coach, I'd hope that you can play the role of Coach Bates, and Jackson, you can play the role of America watching at home on television. The draft ends, and that 4th pick was traded away. I've got the card here that was going to be read. If you'd like to apologize, I'm not going to make you apologize, but if you'd like to, I'm here. I'm all ears.
So I'm going to cut you off. I apologize to you that minute. I felt guilty making the trade. You were so excited and happy. So, publicly, I will very earnestly say I am sorry, John. I said I'd try to make up for it, but I said as a super fan, hopefully you understand it.
You make up for it by being here. You got Sam King with the pick you traded. All is forgiven. I do vividly remember I looked down off the balcony and you spun in your seat and just mouthed, like, I'm really sorry. Like, no hard feelings at all, but it is hilarious. I couldn't pass it up talking about trading 4th-rounders.
Good for you. Touche.
That's awesome. So let's talk about training camp. So this year is a little unique, kind of like you were talking about. There's going to be 2 training camps. One, I think it starts a week from today in Philadelphia, and then there's kind of like a mini camp in Utah before the season kicks off. In your mind, kind of. Well, I'm not even going to ask that question. In your mind, how many guys, kind of per position, are we looking at bringing to that camp in Philly coming up?
One's to be determined. We have 6 defensemen. We have I think 9 offensive guys. We have 3 D-middies, 2 goalies, sort of. Washuta leaves halfway through. Like, so it's a total of 22. A good balance. Part of it is competition, right? So guys are trying out. Like, guys are literally like, especially given the NLL stuff and the non-draft guys potentially being available for us in Utah. Like, we've got some work to do to figure out what that Utah roster looks like. So positionally, like, we're trying to give guys an opportunity to show their stuff and see who might make the cut to the next training camp. If Duke, like, we're curious about what Duke's going to, like, Duke doesn't win any more games. Duke, like, Aiden will be available to us. Utah, do they beat Jacksonville in the finals? Or the ASUN make the tournament? Is he available to like? So there's still, and again, I've learned to just roll with it. You have your contingency plans, but so that camp becomes important, especially for us, given the Utah stuff. The first weekend and two big games.
Yeah, definitely want to win at least one there, get the season kicked off. But on the other hand, the season's 12 games. There's a little more, I don't want to say margin for error, but, all the games are still important. All the games can be won by anybody on any given day. But definitely want to have more of our guys there than not, for sure. The last thing we wanted to talk about is we're still one of the only teams in the league without a general manager. I know that we've learned, by now to trust you implicitly with all of the draft, preparation and everything. But what, I think it's you and Denver and Boston are the only ones that don't have them now. What's kind of the thought process there? Do you want to keep being the GM, or just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Whipsnakes too don't have one. It's the old, it's the old Bill Parcells quote, right? Like, if you want me to make the soup, like, let me go buy the ingredients. So to me, I enjoy the process, right? Is it intense in some regard in terms of the work to evaluate college guys and watch a lot of college lacrosse? Yeah, like I got a day job, I got other things. So, we're still not in a position where it's the compensation and it's like, this is all I do. Like, so, is it a crunch? Yeah, but anytime somebody says to me like, wow, that's work. Like if I'm watching lacrosse and it's my happy place. Yeah. I love my wife. I love spending time with her. My kids are older now. Like I love, my day job. But at the end of the day, like, I was home last Saturday and I literally sat for 6 straight hours and I'm like, and with 3 screens, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like this is, so, I got good, we got good guys around us. Cav does the same thing. We have some other guys that help us with eyes out there. So I think, we know what we like. We know what we want. We love doing it. So yeah. If we thought there was value in bringing somebody else in and stepping back and, however that would be shaped, like we'd look at it. But at the end of the day, like, it's interesting to see like somebody like Spencer, the trade prospects and that kind of stuff. Like there's a particular kind of mind, and I gave Spencer Ford grief afterwards. I'm like, I tell you, you did a good job tonight, but like, I think you're probably feeling pretty good about all the reaction you got because everybody was just stroking him so much. Like, fleece. Oh my God. And I'm like, it was a little over the top. So like, there's an element there. I'm like, I always want to be mindful of like, all right, are we doing everything we can for the organization? And am I the right person to do that? And I think I just believe in myself and our staff that we, all this stuff with the trade stuff, like we're really thrilled with where we ended up. And we did a thorough job to accept trade offers and think of contingencies. Like, so it wasn't like we're meatheads and like, we want that guy. And we're not like, if we're going to switch orders and we're going to give up that pick, like, all right, what are we going to get at 5 or 6 or 7? Like, what does that look like? And are we getting enough value there? And so I think we're doing a good job and we enjoy doing it.
In Bates we trust. We have.
That's right.
It's worked out.
Well, let's see, man. Hopefully,
Yeah. Couple fun questions for you here at the end, and we'll let you go. We had, you mentioned Zach Carey. We had Zach on a couple weeks ago, and we really dove into the walkie-talkie story that he wrote.
Right.
Without, you don't have to give us who, or you don't have to. Let's just say who had the best nickname during that time period there. You don't have to tell us what it was, but just whose did you just really appreciate?
I think the one that I like my own.
Yeah, no, that's a great one.
I didn't have I didn't even have a walkie. Like I was the Godfather. It's just such a fun, for such serious the best players in the world, like to just see them sort of be kids and have fun.
Yeah.
Like there's an element to this that helps build the fabric of a team. So like that's an awesome story. You know, the old stuff that we did with the prank with Matt McMahon, like you guys have heard that story too. Like, dude, like that stuff is high level, priceless.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. And then the next year when like there was a Zoom, it's like I'm not that funny or that smart, so I get it. But like to have a team full of guys like, you know, behind the scenes making all this stuff happen. You know, Schreiber's, you know, this kind of you know, Captain America, all this stuff, but behind the scenes, like there's a pretty funny dude that like can dial some of this stuff up, and like, you know, he's smart enough also to let other people do it, but there's a lot of ideas that, you know, it's a good group of dudes, man. So I think all that stuff just adds to the fabric of the team and the bonds and that stuff's ongoing too. Like even I'll say this real quick, like when guys get drafted, like I love driving home. I'll call our 4 draft picks and welcome them. And you know, 3 years ago, Sis is at the bar, I'm sure with 7 beers in him or whatever it was, and then Dauber and like, yeah, that's the fun part of the game. Then I'll call my dad as well, like and debrief. You know, I had a point here, I just lost it, but you know, just that element of, oh, you know, Tom then asked for guys. You know, the next day, hey, good draft, coach. Like, give me the names, give me the numbers of the 4 dudes we drafted, because there's a reach out by our team. So all that stuff starts. You build that culture from the jump, where, you know, and the message is like, hey, you're part of us.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you've like this is probably somewhat intimidating, like in some regard. Like, holy moly, I'm now playing with X, Y, and Z guy, and Tom's message is you're part of us, and you're here for a reason. Go play ball. Like, don't hold back. Like go be you, and we want guys to be them. We want. You asked earlier about personality and how we research guys. Like we want guys to feel comfortable with their beliefs and who they are as people and players. And you know, if we do a good job, we can we can highlight all that in a way that contributes to the greater good, which is obviously the end goal.
Yeah. You know, talking about culture, I do vividly remember, I think it must have been Dan Arestia that put it out, that y'all went to Dave & Buster's for a team dinner at training camp one time, and I just thought that was awesome.
It's got to be fun, man. You got to hang out, and these guys work really hard at what they do, and to sort of blow off steam and enjoy each other's company and all that is I think, you can't lose sight of that. You know, it's not a roll out the ball, we're an all-star team, and because we got more, we're going to be better. It's no, we got to be better together, and that's what's going to hopefully put us over the top.
Yeah.
Speaking
absolutely.
of acting like kids, Jackson and I have a hobby where we collect trading cards, and we have a segment on this at the end where we surprise each other with the card of the episode. And so I couldn't find any Charlotte Cobra cards because I was really digging deep and thought there might be some out there, but my card of the episode, there's 2 because these are from the last championship, and they're cards that you're on, Coach.
Nice.
The one where you're holding the trophy, and the one where you're getting Ambler the Gatorade bath, obviously. Great moments. But just wanted to share both of those and let Jackson throw his card out.
Pokemon, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Those are amazing memories, so thank you for that. I genuinely appreciate it.
Just talking about the leader that he is, these are the by far the 2 best cards in my collection. This is from the original the PLL Championship Series in the bubble and COVID. And so these are 2 Tom Schreiber numbered to 5. One of them's autographed. Coach, you would not believe what those things cost. Yes.
All right.
So
Good investment. Good investment.
that's exactly right. So, Coach, we want to thank you again so much for being with us today, taking the time out of your busy schedule. Wish you the best of luck in everything, and we're excited to see what we can put out on the field this year.
We'll see you in Utah.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys a ton, and to those guys, you know, to folks listening, we love the support, and we just proudly go about our business to you know, put the product on the field and the caliber of the guys that we do it with, and so thank you guys for what you do, and thank everybody for their support. It means the world to us. Makes us play harder, makes us coach harder. We you know, it's not lost on us, so thank you.
We'll be loud in
Yes,
Utah,
sir.
I promise you that.
That's right. JB, take us out.
Hey, baby, let's let it fly.
Woo-woo.